Everyone, this is Killshot from 99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 16, Rick Spoiler Part 5. So first of all, I'd like to thank each and every one of you. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from these perspective spoilers going through each person. We'll continue to do this next season, and I do have to warn you, this will contain Rick spoilers, so if you do not want to be spoiled, turn away right now. We're going to walk through a little bit of Rick's journey and then the ultimate plan that's going to happen on Sunday night. So it starts out episode number 1 with Rick's torture, and we know there was a lot of violence that went on with Glenn and Abraham, but this was more about taking away Rick's leadership and his will to fight than it was the physical abuse that he exacted, the punishment, as Negan likes to call it. You can see Rick looks absolutely shell-shocked, does not have an answer, and Rick is one of those characters, he's always had an answer for everything, and he hit his lowest point. And we could debate what the lowest point was, but I think it was that point where Negan looked down and said, "That's the look, Rick. That's what I've been looking for." At this point, Rick was completely powerless, and it was all about Negan paying those visits and just keeping him at rock bottom. Every once in a while, Rick would start to flare up a little bit. Negan would say, "Careful how you look at me, Rick." And then Rick ultimately does accept his role. He and Aaron go out. They have to find supplies. They have to have guns. They have to give everything to Negan. And I think it was at the end of this, when Spencer died and Aaron got beat up, that Michonne actually gave Rick his will to fight back. So remember, at the end of that episode, whenever they did all this hard work and they realized that they're just going to take everything, they're killing people, that we start to see Rick gradually build back up. And the reuniting with Daryl and also with Maggie gave Rick that extra incentive, but it wasn't all roses. When they went to visit Ezekiel, they thought that they had an ally. Ezekiel completely shot him down. Morgan was partying that, but it wasn't about the partnership with Ezekiel. It was about the rock in the road. So even though they had a bad experience, they were still able to get the dynamite, and they're starting to move forward a little bit. Then we have a partnership with the Scavengers. So even though we know that Jadis will ultimately turn on Rick, it was about giving his team something to believe in and seeing more soldiers. And I think this is where we started to hit the climax, where we get old Rick back. He's confident. He's having a good time. Being away, being on that adventure with Michonne, finding his weapons, like he said, it's not about us anymore. And that brings us into the plan to kill Negan. This is where we are this week. So Rick goes out. He gets all these weapons. They storm the ocean side. They get back to the Scavengers, and they have them fully equipped. Now, there is a little birdie in the Scavengers. Tamiel went to tell Negan. But on the flip side of that, Rick has his own little birdie, and it is Dwighty Boy. So Dwighty Boy comes back with Rosita. Not the best of introductions. Daryl wants to kill Dwight. Tara wants to kill Dwight. So there's a lot of back and forth where Tara still has that animosity toward Denise dying. Then when Dwight says, "I wasn't aiming for her," Daryl wants to go in and try to kill him. But Dwight says, "There's another way. Hold on one second. I want him dead, just like all of you want him dead." Rick, "Okay, let me hear your plan." So Dwight says, "They're coming after you tomorrow." A little bit of shock there because Rick wasn't expected to be attacked quite so early. So Dwight says, "I know the path they're going. We're going to cut down a tree in the middle of the road. They get here. You ambush them. Get some snipers up there. Shoot them. Blow them up. Whatever you have to do. When Negan is dead, I'll get the radio back to the sanctuary and tell them everything's okay. We'll load up the trucks, go in. We'll take Sasha, and we'll start to convince people to join the fight." So the plan starts out pretty well. We do get the trees cut down, but Brainy Eugene comes up with a way to move them a little bit quicker. They get there. Eugene actually steps out first. Rick says, "Where's Negan?" Eugene with the megaphone says, "I am Negan." Oh no, oh hell no, that's not going to happen. So Rick decides it's happening right there. Let's just blow them up. It's time for our war, our skirmish. Rick goes to detonate the bomb, and there is no kaboom. It looks like the Scavengers have completely sabotaged Rick's explosive. So on top of that, you can see here, look at this lineup. Jadis is right beside Rick. You got one on behind Carl. They're perfectly strategically placed. Jadis shoots Rick in the side, and they completely turn on him. Rick is outnumbered. And then we're going to go back to get lineup number 2. Yes, the rumors are true. Negan is going to go through. It's speech time. They bring Rick up to the front. This time it's going to be a little bit different. Remember, in the aftermath of the Glenn and Abraham death, Negan was going to have Rick cut off Carl's arm. This time, Negan tells Rick, "I'm going to cut off your hand, and I'm going to take Lucille, and Lucille is going to get her one with Carl." So Negan swings back the bat, and before he gets a chance, now, I don't know if Rick was going to jump in and interfere. I think he's being restrained at this point, but Shiva is going to jump out and start killing saviors, which is going to interrupt this. The group is going to disperse a little bit. Rick and Carl will crawl away, and then we get this skirmish. It's not all-out war yet. Stay tuned for that, but we do have some fighting. A lot of things are going to happen. So once we go to war, a couple things that I do want to say. Number 1, they do see Daryl, so when they do go to all-out war, Negan knows that Daryl's there. Number 2, they see Maggie. Negan says the widow's alive, so he knows that the hilltop is in full play here. Also with Shiva and the tiger, he knows that the kingdom is there. Morgan does save Rick when all this fighting is going on. One of the Scavengers is getting ready to shoot Rick. Morgan hits him with the stick. They share a look. Michonne will be badly beaten where she can't even speak. Tamiel and her have it out, and Rosita will be shot. I don't know the extent of Rosita's injury, if that's going to be something that carries over into season number 8. Could be something big that happens there. And also, Dwight does leave with Negan, but leaves a chess piece at the gate for Daryl, something along the lines of didn't know, so Daryl knows that Dwight is still loyal. And the Saviors do get back to the sanctuary. Once they get back, Negan and Eugene have a conversation. It's about Sasha, so if you guys don't know the Sasha spoiler, go back and watch it. I'll give you a real quick overview. Sasha takes the pill. She jumps out of the coffin, attacks Negan. She doesn't bite him, doesn't scratch him. Ultimately, Maggie has to put down Sasha at the end, but Negan wants to know, how did Sasha die in there? Eugene says she ran out of air. Not sure if Negan trusts Eugene at this point. Negan does turn to the Saviors and say, get ready for all-out war. So thanks everyone for watching. Give this video a thumbs up. Look for more spoilers coming soon, and have a good time with this episode. My name is Killshot, and a special thanks to all my sponsors as well. Peace.